He's really sweet.
The playroom at the Lester's house is packed with toys, patience, and lots of love.
I couldn't turn my back on these babies. They're innocent. I love these babies so much.
Just as she loved her babies before them.
I love these pictures. We are looking at my kids. This is the family as years were going by and they were getting older.
Old enough that Tracy and her husband Johnny started thinking about retirement.
We were finally at the point where we didn't have to hire a babysitter and we could leave the youngest one here.
But then her daughter,
Tarilyn,
started her own family.
Come here, let's read, Parker.
2 boys born.
You may start the conversation now.
Hello?
Before she went to prison.
What prison are you in again?
I'm at Lee Arundel.
3 years ago, Tarilyn and her husband Tyler Alexander were accused of abusing their firstborn, Parker, who at the time was only 8 weeks old. 6 months later, Tracy and her husband got custody to get the boys out of foster care.
Did the two of you abuse your son?
No.
The couple believed so strongly they'd reunify that as the jury deliberated, they were child-proofing their boy's bedroom. After all, they'd left as infants, but could return toddlers. For too long, their home sat on a street, failing to live up to its name.
As to count 5, as charged in the indictment, cruelty to children in the first degree.
That joy would have to wait a little longer.
We, the jury, found the defendant guilty.
No one disputes Parker had several broken and fractured bones, but his parents insist they never treated him aggressively. They believe their son suffered from a complex series of medical events that unknowingly left him with weaker bones.
And then it was just like my heart shattered. I really just don't know what to say anymore. The jury definitely got it wrong.
There are parents guilty of horrendous crimes. In 2023, Georgia fielded more than 60,000 safety concerns. According to child welfare data, a very small number of those children, 418, involved allegations of physical abuse. Last year's data doesn't break cases down by age, but in previous years, about 18% of those would be infants, children who had yet to celebrate their first birthday.
Physical abuse is fortunately not very common. Neglect is the biggest issue we deal with.
Attorney Tom Rawlings once served as the director of Georgia's Division of Family and Children's Services, or DFACS. He has run the state's Child Advocacy Office, and he has served as a juvenile court judge. He has seen the challenges of identifying and stopping abuse from more angles than most. And he is grateful our state has 5 child abuse pediatricians working at area hospitals to help.
They really are a wonderful first line of defense to make sure that children who have been abused are receiving proper safety and are getting cared for.
It is a child abuse pediatrician, or CAP, that diagnosed each of the babies at the center of our investigation, Help That Harms. Rawlings says as an attorney, he has also represented parents he believes are innocent.
And so to me, the question is not dismissing the great work of child abuse pediatricians, but it is to make sure that parents, when they say, well, I haven't done anything, that we're listening to them and we are giving them the opportunity to defend themselves.
CAPs undergo special training to identify abuse, so their diagnoses wield a lot of power. We heard it echoed in the Alexander trial.
Once they make their recommendation and once they make their finding, you pretty much just go along with what they say.
Correct. It's considered the top of the line.
But CAPs aren't just diagnosing the medical problem, they are declaring how the child got it. Abuse. Families who deny the allegation argue child abuse pediatricians are making decisions based off a snapshot in time, when to really understand the injury, a doctor needs to look at the whole picture, birth records, and previous medical appointments. But once the CAP suspects abuse, everyone else from doctors and DFACS to law enforcement views the case through that lens.
Agencies, individuals, we all have a bit of confirmation bias.
Tracy says 2 of Parker's fractures are a perfect example. Radiologists identified them after he went into foster care. The The CAP said they must have missed them the first time around. But Parker's parents see the fractures as new, unexplained injuries while out of custody.
I do believe that sometimes what is missing for the parents is the ability to have that second opinion from an independent person, because the decision we're making legally is so significant.
Okay, so do it. Get a second opinion. Even CAPs don't seem to understand that right now, that's just not how Georgia's process works.
Once your team gets involved and y'all have made a diagnosis of child abuse or suspected child abuse, how much the parents are not really allowed to ask for a second opinion, are they?
No, they're free to ask for a second opinion. Unless their parental rights have been terminated, I don't believe that there's anything preventing them from getting a second opinion.
Tarilyn and Tyler couldn't do that because their child had been taken from them. They weren't allowed to take them to doctors or be at any doctor's appointments. We asked for second opinions. And they come back with, that's not needed, that test isn't needed.
Tracy didn't get custody until Parker was 8 months old. It was only then that she was able to get more testing. But she says most doctors looked at Parker's medical chart from Children's and sent them home.
They do not want to go outside what that child abuse pediatrician said. They don't want to ruffle feathers. They don't want to get involved.
She did eventually learn Parker had a missing chromosome, and a doctor in Boston told the family it is likely Parker had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that affects the joints and sockets in your body.
At trial, other medical professionals, though, disagreed. There is no definitive test for children to determine if it's true. Either way, prosecutors argued it wouldn't explain Parker's injuries.
And sometimes good people do bad things. Sometimes they snap.
Our investigation, Help That Harms, isn't as much about a parent's guilt or innocence as it is the systemic roadblocks that make it tough for families to quickly get an independent second medical opinion and maintain a close relationship with their child without having to go deep into debt.
Can we fix this?
Our system is based on people having faith in the justice system. If we can do everything we can to make sure that we get the answer right, even for this small group of people, then people will have more faith and more confidence in the larger system.
Perhaps it's why these cases have started to garner national attention from groups like You Are the Power.
We help small organizations who have been harmed by an overreaching government.
State coordinator Ryan Ralston has helped organize fundraisers.
Some of these families are averaging $50,000 to $75,000 in legal fees.
And the group has launched social media campaigns to raise awareness about cases like the Alexanders.
Our ultimate goal is to make sure all the state officials are aware of what's going on. We want them to understand what is happening in Georgia.
You want some more bubbles, Parker?
Yeah. The boys call their grandma Lolly.
Here comes Lolly.
Like lollipop.
Grandparents are everything sweet.
Even when the situation...
That's what we're supposed to be. Everything sweet.
could leave you bitter.
This is a terrible situation to be in.
It really hurts. I just miss my family, miss my boys.